eBay has reinvented vehicle buying. From click to curb, everything's covered. Ever try to buy a car online and end up in a parking lot with a stranger and some blind trust? That era is over. Now with Secure Purchase, eBay isn't just where you find your car. It's where you buy it, start to finish. Title, financing, registration, delivery, it's all built in. This is the modern way to buy your next ride on eBay. eBay. Things people love. Secure Purchase is powered by Caramel Dealer Services, LLC, an eBay subsidiary.
As a scientist, I can tell you that Sundays are only 24 hours long. But with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get every game every Sunday all in one place. That's upwards of 30 hours of NFL in one day. How can there be 30 hours in 24 hours, you ask? I have a theory. Magic. New users get NFL Sunday Ticket for 8 payments of $34.50 per month. Sign up at NFLSundayTicket.com. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games and commercial use. Terms and embargoes apply. Availability varies.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contrast. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
New Vitamin Water Zero Sugar Pineapple Passion Fruit is packed with vitamins. Just like the amount of peas we packed in that sentence. It's packed like your tote bag. The one you stole from your ex. Or your overpriced half a studio apartment. Or extra rushed rush hour traffic. Packed like your calendar. Triple booked at 5, of course. Grab a Vitamin Water. Did we mention it's packed with vitamins?
We may live over 5,000 miles from Lincoln Financial Field, but what we lack in proximity we make up for in film study, and each and every week we'll be bringing you in-depth film breakdowns from across the pond and the Sooner State. Welcome to On the Shane Page. I'm your host, Shane Haff. You can follow me on Twitter at ShaneHaffNFL, and I'm joined by BGN's own film guru, Jonny Page. Give him a follow on Twitter at JohnnyPage9. Jonny, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. This is the most Philadelphia week of all Philadelphia, Shane. The Eagles win. They're 2-0. They beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Patrick Mahomes, and everyone's mad, which is like perfect for podcasters. We're like brilliant because we can analyze everything, and yet the Eagles just keep us on our toes. It's mad, isn't it? 2-0. Think about it. Cowboys at home. Cowboys aren't great, but still, like, good result. Away to the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Super Bowl revenge game for them, by the way. Never lost 3 in a row, isn't it, Mahomes, since God knows what the announcer said, like 2016 or something, and yet we're all still mad, which is great. Like, I'd say 90% of comments are angry rather than happy. I guess you could say the expectations are very high in Philadelphia these days, which is good. They've set a high standard for themselves. So I don't know if this is going to be similar. We're probably going to be, I'd say we're probably mixed. Looking at our points, this is probably a mixed combination of positivity and negativity. Maybe slightly more positive than people would expect. Because watching the game live, I must admit, my gut reaction was just like, are we terrible? Like, even though we're winning on offense? Whereas watching it back, I'm like, no, let's all calm down a little bit. But yeah, I'm good. I enjoyed watching this game back because there was quite a lot to get into. So, yeah.
Yeah, I expected to be far more negative watching. I was dreading it, to be honest. Like, I was very negative on the post-game show after the game. And then,
Yes,
I don't know if you listened, but it's probably legitimately the least fun I've had watching a game in a long time. And then I don't like being negative like that, but it's how I felt. And I've always said I'm going to tweet emotionally during games and on a post-game show, and then I'm going to come back and watch the film. And I was dreading watching the film because I was like, man, I'm going to have to tweet through all of this crap. And surprisingly, I saw a lot of things that I liked, and we'll dive into it here. But I walked away still frustrated with things, but thinking there's some building blocks as well. So we've already kind of alluded to the offense. So should we jump in with the offense first today, Jonny?
Yeah, and I think it's worth pointing out, isn't it? That is the point of the post-game show. I haven't done one yet. It's my first one this week because it's a 1 p.m. game, which is nice. Post-game is for the immediate reaction, isn't it? That's where you get it off your chest. If you're not that, you're not a fan. Like, post-game is how you feel in the moment. You can't change that. And you know what, Shane? Sometimes I think we know more in the moment than we think.
Yeah.
Like, I think there are some things that sometimes we say that you're like, yeah, do you know what? In hindsight, I might be more positive, but actually in the moment, I just know that it wasn't good enough. So I think it's nice to have the balance of having the crazy post game and then sort of the calm up midweek show. And yes, let's do the offense because I think we have to start there this week, don't we?
Yeah, I think so. So let's jump into it. Jonny, do you want to take the first shot here or do you want me to?
Why not? That would rely on myself checking what I said first, because I was expecting you to. So I tell you what, yeah, let's just start philosophical. Let's start with a nice philosophical point. I don't even think I have a clip for this one, so good to start a film show. Let's just get the philosophical point out of the way that I want to mention. I put winning ugly as my first point. And I guess there are so many stats going around about the Eagles offense this week. I'm not a massive stats guy, as you know. I leave that to yourself and Eric. But I'm a very big basic stats man, right? And I look at the Eagles offense in this game, Shane, and you probably know more about like the EPA than the basic stats. And I see 216 yards, 94 passing yards, 122 rushing yards, 3.7 yards per play, 5 out of 14 on third down. And I think that is abysmal. Like, let's be real. 3.7 yards per play is rough. 5 out of 14 on third is not ideal, but the 3.7 yards gets me. And I guess I wanted to know your thoughts on it as well. I don't care how the Eagles win. I think it's fair to say that some fans do. And by the way, I don't blame those fans at all. Some fans root for teams, but also want to root for players. And if you're telling me I've enjoyed watching the Eagles offense live the last couple of weeks, I haven't really. Do I enjoy watching A.J. Brown run 5 slants basically in that game for 27 yards? No, I don't. I enjoy moments of the game. The Eagles Shane, had 2 receivers over 7 yards this week. I'm talking like everyone. Devontae Smith, 53, A.J. Brown, 27, and then Barkley with 2 for 6. Like, it is rough out there, but I think we have to be honest with ourselves. And I've read a lot of quotes this week. I've listened to what Sirianni said. I've listened to what Patudo said. They said they want to throw deep down the field more, blah, blah, blah. The one thing they keep coming back to is the way the game was going. And I think you have to give this coaching staff a little bit of credit, despite the numbers I've just read out. I think they have a very good sense of what the opposing team is doing on offense and how they can win a game. And despite me saying that, I can easily say if Travis Kelce doesn't drop the ball, they lose. And I think you can always get into that. But I do think in general, the team seems to find a way to win. And I think you can't ignore the turnovers. Like, Jalen Hurts is so careful with the ball, arguably too careful at this point. But his record in the past, 16, 20 games, the last couple of years, is absurdly high. And I think just philosophically, do I enjoy watching it? Not always. It's quite a struggle out there. But I think the Eagles have this amazing mindset. I think the players do. I think the coaches do, that it's win at all costs. And I think it comes from the top, from Sirianni and Hurts. And I think sometimes we're going to have to get used to this year, that we're basically going to just have to win ugly at times. Because I think when it feels like the Eagles think they can win without turning the ball over, I think we're going to have to get used to this. I do genuinely believe the offense has more. And I think if the Eagles are losing, I think if we find ourselves in a shootout one week, I think you will see the offense expand. That's my positive take on it. I think they are playing within themselves on purpose. So my first point was going to be basically just about winning ugly. And I think you have to give the organization credit, even if as fans, it can be quite dull at times.
Yeah, I guess my first point kind of goes along with that. And so I'll just talk about some philosophical things too. But Dennis Selman put out on Twitter after the game that the Eagles offense had negative 0.57 EPA per drive and a 31% passing success rate against Kansas City. And both of those were worse than any game last season. And so, when you look at the offense and you see people frustrated about it, that's why. is literally a worse performance than they had in any game last season.
Yeah, it's not like film nerds. This is not a film nerd stuff. This is not like, we won, shut up, film nerds, like, go away. It's actually better. It's not. The numbers are really bad.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. If they play like this all year, they're not going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think is that a controversial thing to say? Like, they're not. They're not going to be good enough the way they're playing. But I do genuinely think some of it is almost like, not like they're not playing badly on design, but they are so safe by design. I do sort of get the feeling that, like, if this game turned into a shootout, they would do more. Like, I think they do have other answers. We just haven't seen them. I just have to think they have other answers. I can't believe that this is it.
And we talked about this in the Discord earlier today. And if you're not in our Patreon Discord, come join the Patreon. We have a lot of really good conversations in there. We had a really cool conversation about what one of my second points is going to be here in a little bit. But, like, the Eagles are so conservative. And yes, they've won both games doing that, and that's great. But if you lost that game to the Chiefs, which, by the way, you won by 3 points, and it took the Chiefs missing a field goal, gifting you 3 points on that 4th and 1 call, and an interception on the goal line on a ball that hit Travis Kelce in the hands for what should have been a touchdown. Like, and you know, could have, should have, would have, whatever. But those 3 plays go different, and you lose 27-10. This would be a really frustrating thing that you gave away a game trying to be so conservative. And Dennis Selman also put out that the Eagles have averaged a turnover in they've averaged a touchdown worth of EPA on turnovers each of the last 2 games, and they've won by less than a score. And you cannot rely on those turnovers all season long to win football games. And so they need to spin that dial and get a little more aggressive. One more shout out for Dennis. Go follow him on Twitter if you're not. Dennis Selman 33. But
yes, he's class. I'm going to bring him up again later on.
All right.
Believe it or not.
Well,
2 shouts for Dennis in the same game, because I had another number he put out this week I was going to mention.
He said, by my count, the number of Eagles dropbacks with an eligible receiver who lined up on one side and ran a route to the other side.
That was my point, Shane.
Okay.
Stole my point.
So any sort
Outrageous.
of crossing route, any crossing route at all, it's been 20% of plays in the first 2 games have had a receiver run across the field. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What
Have
are
you
we
seen
doing?
this week's number that he tweeted? It was like,
it's 15%.
Yeah, and the worst thing is as well, over on we won't keep talking about Patreon the whole time, but I watched the Chiefs last week, and I actually went back at my main takeaways, and the game basically played out in many ways like I expected. Like, there was a lot of things that I think I got right, especially with how the Eagles' defense had to help. In fact, I think my defensive preview was very spot on. But on offense, my first point was you have to test communication in the secondary. The Chiefs had a real problem week 1 with pick routes, switch releases at the line of scrimmage. They massively struggled with communication. There were so many players running into each other on the back end. That's what crossing routes do. Like, they force you to communicate because they're very hard to cover one-on-one. It's often a zone coverage that picks them up, where a linebacker passes off to a safety or a corner passes off to a linebacker. You test that communication, and the Eagles just didn't do it. Like, they were very prepared for the other problems. They were very prepared for when they go in empty. They were very prepared for the blitz, extremely prepared for the blitz. The crossing route thing is really weird. Like, it's taken the NFL by storm, basically, the past 10 years. Like, just simple crossing routes. And the Chiefs do it a lot as well now. And they caught Eagles out a couple of times in this game with crossing routes as well. The big touchdown was because the crossing route drew a safety out, and also to do with alignment, but we'll get into that later. But it is just sort of bizarre. But there we go. Yeah. Let's jump into your second point, Shane, because I think, or
my
first point. Sorry.
Yeah. So my first point goes
I think we could
with...
talk about how the Eagles win forever, couldn't we? But
yeah, my first point goes along with all of that, and I've tweeted about it, but it's just how siloed the Eagles' offense is. I went back and in this game in particular, the Eagles called 11 plays from pistol, and only one of them was a pass, and it was the first play of the game. They called 14 plays from under center, and all 14 were run plays. Now, 7 were tush pushes, so we can set those aside. But regardless, that is 18 plays that were under center or pistol, and it was an 11% pass rate from non-shotgun. Okay, and then you look at shotgun plays. There were 33 plays from shotgun, and 26 of them were passes. And 2 of the runs were draws on 3rd and 15 or more. And so if you exclude those draws, you exclude the tush push, it was an 84% pass rate from shotgun and a 5% pass rate when you weren't in shotgun. It's not just a one-game thing. You add in the Cowboys game. Through the first 2 games, the Eagles have a 79.2% pass rate from a shotgun and an 11% pass rate when they're not in shotgun, excluding tush pushes and kneel downs. I mean, it doesn't get any more high school than that. When we're lining up and teams can say with almost absolute certainty if it's a run or a pass based on where your quarterback is standing, that's a major problem. And it is such a simple solution. And so if you're not going to ever call pass plays from pistol and from under center, just throw it in the garbage and go back to being a 100% shotgun team. But you can't continue to do this.
Yeah, I said yesterday in the Discord as well, that it feels like a bit galaxy braining of late. Like, but when the Eagles do call a play off it, it's like, yeah, but you don't need to run 2 whole games worth of film to set up a play. You can have like 1 successful run from under center and then run boot action and catch teams out. You can't spend half the season. I know 2 weeks isn't half the season, but you know what I mean. You can't spend like 2 weeks setting up week 3 Rams, and then in the third quarter they're going to one play action from under center. They're going to go, see, this is what the Eagles have been building up to, and it's like, well, let's all calm down. Number one, they may have completed that pass anyway. Number 2, it's week 3. Every game matters in the NFL. The difference between the 1 seed and the 2 seed is huge. If they lost this game, but then they went, yeah, but you see, we're going to catch week 4 with a tendency breaker. Like, that's nonsense. That's such galaxy braining.
And also,
Like,
I could show you, and I don't have these clips prepared, but I could show you by the second half when Jalen Hurts lined up in the pistol or under center, from the first step of his drop, the safeties were sprinting to the line of scrimmage because they knew with 100% certainty it was a run play. So you want your run game to be better, start throwing the ball out of shotgun or out of pistol and out of under center, or just ditch them completely.
And like, I hate to be negative, but the Packers are going to be really good this year. Their defense is fantastic. The Parsons trade has completely changed what they can do. Shock. Who saw that coming? And the Eagles have a really bad schedule.
Not Jerry Jones.
These games matter. Like, every game this year is going to matter if you want to get the 1 seed. You can't risk 2 games. I read that this week. I think it was Fran, actually. It wasn't Fran who said it. He had, like, some coaches that told him that it's not a terrible thing because you can catch him out. I was like, in the same game, maybe. Yeah. You might run a few plays on the second drive knowing you come back to it later on. You're not playing, like, 4-week tendencies. Like, that's just not real. They're just being too obvious, basically. And we'll talk about one of those issues I'll get into shortly. Right, let's get on to my second point. Let's get more positive. I think, Shane, this year, and it's early days, it's been 2 weeks, so let's all calm down, but I think we might be seeing Jalen Hurts taking the next step. It feels to me like that, like, light bulb has gone off in his head, and I think he's processing things quicker, and I think he looks so comfortable. So my second point was just Jalen Hurts versus the blitz. And I want to take you back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game in the playoffs a few years ago, when Todd Bowles would send the rusher, and Jalen Hurts looked like he had never played quarterback before in the NFL. He was terrified. He panicked. The ball was coming out early. The ball was coming out late. He was taking sacks. This week, he went up against possibly the best defensive mind when it comes to bringing pressure, probably outside of Brian Flores in this league, in Steve Spagnuolo. And I would say he played it like he was basically playing with his mates down the park. The way he dealt with the blitz was sort of surreal to watch him, actually, because he didn't seem to really be fazed in the slightest. The Eagles did something a little bit differently this week as well, which is something that I didn't see as much last year, in that they were making a concerted effort to pick up backside pressure and basically allowing the guy in Hurts' vision to just come free. Like, they were very, very happy to have a free rusher running straight at Hurts, but they almost obviously felt like if Hurts can see him, then they don't really matter because Hurts is going to throw it before he hits him anyway. So it was very deliberate. They did it quite a lot in this game. I'm just bringing up my film thread and I'm scrolling through my phone, and I've got so many notifications on my defensive film from yesterday that I am literally going to bring up separately. Let me bring up my numbers. Honestly, that defensive thread, everyone is talking a lot on that defensive film thread. So let me get back to my offensive thread because that took me normally I go on notifications, that took forever. So I won't deal with like the negatives of this, like the first play of the game when there was pressure. Let's start with play 2 straight away. So this is a really easy example. In this particular one, they didn't have a free rusher, and I'll mention this as well, which is not a Hurts point, but I thought A.J. Dillon and Saquon Barkley were exceptionally good at picking up the blitz in this game. Like, probably the best game of pass pro I've seen out of a running back since, a long, long time. Just like, again, it's not a particularly successful play. I think it was 3rd and long. I didn't get the first down. But Hurts just didn't seem to show any care in the world when he faced the blitz. Like, it just looked so easy. Very, very mechanical, very like pocket sound. I think play 3 is probably one of the best examples of this, and there's a few others we'll get into. I won't show some of the screens because I think they're a bit more obvious, but this is a really good example. They send the free rusher, and in this particular case, the Eagles have motioned 4 strong, or not 4 strong actually, sorry, they're 2x2 with that little thing that they do all the time with Barkley running out, which they love doing. And Hurts has a direct free rusher staring right at him, but there is absolutely no panic whatsoever. Like, if you watch just Hurts on the play, there is a guy running straight towards him, and there is zero care in the world. Like, I think the Eagles made it very obvious this week, and I wrote about this in the film review. I think one broken tackle in this game could have been a huge gain. If Devontae Smith breaks a tackle there, which he very nearly does, I think he could score. If A.J. Brown breaks the tackle on a slant later on, I think he could score. Like, there is nothing else there that Devontae Smith has to get past. And I just think we spoke about Jalen Hurts being a Madden player on our evolution of Jalen Hurts a few months ago. And a lot of people have commented on my BGN article saying they like that idea of Jalen Hurts being a Madden player because his progression just seems like every year he does something better. I think processing and I think the ability to play the bit blitz seems like extremely, extremely good compared to where it was at a couple of years ago. I'll show just two more very quickly. If you go to play 8, this is one of the slants to A.J. Brown. Once again, this play is from empty. And again, I think this one, the free rusher is closer to Hurts. They're almost signaling this earlier on. Like, the Chiefs are pretty much signaling this very early. So Hurts knows he hasn't got very long. And that's one of the beauties of empty, is it's very hard to disguise what you're doing. But that's quick. That pressure is there in a hurry. But it's back foot, ball out, done. And that's a really, really nice ball, by the way. And if A.J. Brown breaks a tackle once again, I think he could be gone. And then my final example is play number 11. I know we disagree at times. I'm more of a fan of throwing it vertically against the blitz, and some people are not. I will just add, I'm much more of a fan of a slot fade for an outside the numbers vertical route because I think you have more time. But you can see this really deliberately, because if you take a look at the back, look at him block on the backside. Barkley is actually staring at the front side rusher. So this is what I mean about, it's not just Hurts, it's the overall design is really good. Barkley knows Hurts is going to throw this ball that side. Barkley knows where Hurts wants to go. So Barkley knows, well, if Hurts is going to open up to the right, my job is backside rusher. I don't want him getting hit from the backside. So even though Barkley starts on the right, he totally allows this guy to come charging into Hurts, and he takes the backside guy instead. It's basically like allowing Hurts to just throw before he hits him. Sounds really obvious, but if you're going to get hit by something, you want to be able to see it coming. So he knows when he can get rid of the ball. And then the rest is just perfect. I saw someone mention this is underthrown. It's utter nonsense. He's got a guy bearing down at his face. He has to basically throw with zero velocity off his back foot. He just puts it up for grabs. He just says to Devontae Smith, go and make a play. And good players sometimes make really good plays. So I wanted to mention how good he was against the blitz, but not just in this game. I think just in general, seeing him that calm against it was really, really cool, because 2 years ago, he's a different player.
Yeah, he was very good against the blitz, I thought. And you could argue that Spagnuolo blitzed him too much because the passing attack had no answers when the Chiefs dropped back into coverage.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reason they had no answers was because of their over-reliance on 2x2 formations. And
let's do it.
Horrible route concepts within them. So we had a good conversation about this in Discord and kind of talked about it. And philosophically, the problem with running 2x2 formations to try to beat zone coverage, let's motion into our 2x2 here, is that, you know, at the snap of the ball, let's split the field right now. And if we split the field, we have 4/2 and we have 3/2. And so we're +1 on both sides. You're not forcing the defense to make any sort of difficult decision here, especially when no routes ever cross the middle of the field. But
exactly, that's the thing. It's easy. It's easy.
Yeah, if you go 3-by-1, you at least make some difficult decisions. Do we push our coverage over? Well, now you've got A.J. Brown kind of 1-on-1. Or do we keep it split? And now, okay, well, it's 3-on-3 on this side of the field, and you have a chance. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is just what they run from these. And so if I can skip it back a little bit here. On this particular play, they're going to snap the ball, and A.J. Brown is just going to like run a little hitch route, and you're going to get like a slot fade, I guess, which could work. If it was single high, you might be able to draw this guy down and throw this fade route. The problem is it's not. The Chiefs are going to spin that coverage into too high, and when they do that, this whole side just has no chance. And so we go to the backside where we're going to have a hitch route and a corner route that also has no chance, whether it's single high or too high. Like, nothing about this ever has a chance. And you flare the running back out to that side. And this is what the Eagles do time and time again. This is their solution to the pass game. And so you can see, like, where's Hurts supposed to throw this ball? Well, to Saquon Barkley for a yard. Like, that's the offense. That's the drop back passing game offense again. And so here we go again, 2-by-2. The Eagles are going to run crash to the bottom of the screen, which you guys know this, but we've got like the slant.
Every team knows crash now. For the first 2 weeks of the season, crash is an absolute disaster. It was a cheat code last year. This year, I feel like the team knows it before they're even running it.
Yeah, so the Eagles are going to run that, and then they're going to run like a little hitch route with this dig route. No chance. And we'll flare the running back out to this side, and we'll roll the tape and see that nobody is open. And so you get the snap of the ball. You've got 3/2 on the crash side. No chance. We run right to a defender and turn around and stay covered. And we've got two guys with eyes on this dig route. And so Hurts has to throw it to Barkley again behind the line of scrimmage, because that's all our drop back passing game is right now. But wait, there's more. 2-by-2. I literally had to double check this and make sure this wasn't the same play, because they're in roughly the same area of the field. Crash to the bottom, the wrap in to the top with the running back flare. Nothing's open. Where's Hurts supposed to throw this ball?
The formation is the exact same.
Yeah. And this time he gets like decapitated by Omar Norman Lott. And so
it is the exact same play.
It's the same play.
It's identical. If you're going to run the same concept, you've got to dress it up differently. Motion,
and
formation.
That's all they do. That's all they do. And so you can run 2-by-2, but you've got to get guys crossing the field. You've got to do some things to try to you got to try to flood these zones. So, I mean, go 2-by-2 and run a flood concept. Send a vertical route from the outside guy. Here, let me put it back up here and I'll just draw it. Like, let's say we're not doing the stupid condensed alignment thing. So just pretend with me that we've got, instead of this receiver here, we've got him out here. So why don't we run a go route and a corner route and fast to the flat, and we can flood this zone and have somebody come underneath to hold this hook defender so we high-low this cornerback. Maybe we could do something like that. Maybe we could run dagger, and so we run off this safety and we run the dagger route behind with a crossing route, shallow cross / dagger. Like, there's a lot of things that you could do. It's not innately that 2-by-2 is bad. It's that when you run 2-by-2, you never cross the field and you run the same routes every single time. It's never going to work. And that's why the Eagles' drop back passing game is a disaster right now. It should be a really easy fix, which is the positive. But that's what's wrong with the Eagles' passing attack. I went into it a lot more in my pass game review for Patreon, and so go check that out if you haven't, because there's a lot more plays like this that I go through, but that's just a little microcosm of it all.
Yeah, I don't really want to add too much, because you said you'd do it. You've gone into it in great detail, and it's sort of obvious. The one thing I will just add, and I struggle with comments like this because people say, well, we've mentioned this problem before, so is it a Hurts problem? And obviously, Jalen Hurts likes plays and prefers plays, and he has input. But Shane, that play you drew up at the start, flood with a crossing from the other side, basically.
Uh-huh.
Hurts has run that. I've seen him run it. He runs it well. I think Hurts throws possibly the best intermediate out route in the NFL. We mentioned that in the show we did in the off-season as well. His numbers on intermediate out routes are really good. He throws a brilliant comeback route to the outside, and he's not thrown a single ball in 2 weeks between 10 and 19 yards. Like, that's impossible. I've seen Jalen Hurts run flood 100 times. The Eagles used to run flood all of the time, too often, and Hurts runs it really well. I've seen Hurts run double posts. I've seen Hurts run double post wheel last year against the Packers. Week 1, he threw the wheel. He threw the wheel against the Jags. He threw the post last week to Jahan Dotson. So the idea that, like, oh, Hurts can only run 2x2, I just don't buy it. He might have plays he prefers. There might be things that he likes. He might like 2x2. He might like having one option one side, one option the other. Fair enough. Number one, it's your coach's job to say, well, unfortunately, mate, you had 98 pass yards or whatever this week. So whatever you like maybe isn't working. But it really doesn't. Like, I get a little bit annoyed by the Hurts can't do it stuff. I am not an idiot. I know that Hurts probably doesn't run as many concepts as you can run with Justin Herbert or Dak Prescott, who see the field better. But it's a rubbish excuse. It's a rubbish excuse. The idea that because Hurts is not as good as the top guys at reading the field, you can't run like Sail or Flood or whatever they call it, is nonsense, because we've seen him do it. He has done it consistently the past few years. So they're just not calling it right now. And for whatever reason, the 2x2 stuff, as you mentioned, is not inherently bad. It's just not currently working because of the concepts they're running off of it. Speak of the concept, Shane, let's move on very quickly to my third and final point. I actually don't have any tips for this either. I could have done Barkley, I could have done run game, I could have moaned about Calcaterra. I can't be bothered. The whole world knows. The film is out there. All you have to do is turn it on. The time blocking is rough. It was a problem before the season. It's a problem during the season. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to talk about the lack of a QB run game, basically, as my first. And I guess this is a really interesting one because Kevin Patullo came out and said, oh, it's coming. And I was like, well, if he lost to the Chiefs, I'd have been said it's coming too late. And I can assume there is some logic here that the Eagles are protecting Jalen Hurts' body and they want him to stay healthy. Like, I have no problem at all with that to an extent. When you're winning easily, you're playing a bad team and you're up by 20 points, I don't need Jalen Hurts to take, like, 15 rushing carries or whatever. I think the fact that Hurts has the tush push and the scrambles is not making people realise how little of the run game he has actually been involved in. There is nothing. Because they're not running out of shotgun, they're not doing the natural read option stuff, so there's no read elements to the run game. I've seen basically zero QB draw. QB counter bash, Shane, the Eagles' cheat code the past few years, like literally a cheat code of a run play, has not been called once. Let alone the other stuff we haven't seen to do with Barkley's run game. The run game design is so bland, like incredibly basic. I think people were focusing too much on the tight ends and the condensed formations. And I'm like, people aren't talking about the general run game. They ran outside zone pin pull toss in this game. And I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And I saw Cam Jurgens pulling and I was like, oh yeah, Cam Jurgens is unbelievably good when he pulls. And they just haven't used him. He just runs outside zone or inside zone most plays. And by the way, that play did actually, I think it went for 9 yards. It was a successful call. And on that play, the tight end got absolutely blown up, Kylan Granson. And so the play nearly didn't work anyway. I actually think I might have clipped that up, Shane. So seeing as I'm explaining it, it was play 10. Let's have a look at this very quickly as I'm explaining it. So this is the only play I saw of the run game all week. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. So I think they were in shotgun, actually, which probably doesn't surprise. It's actually quite surprised they ran. No, I might be pissed off in this angle. It's hard seeing it from the distance.
Yeah, it's shotgun.
Yeah. Granson, I mean, look at Granson. Like, people have said we should be playing him over Calcaterra. He can't pin. Like, the whole idea of pin pull is, the outside guys pin, the middle guys pull. He can't pin this down at all. He's being ragdolled. He nearly gets pushed straight back into Barkley. But I watched Jurgens on this play. I'm like, oh yeah, he's incredibly good in space. Sorry, it was Dickerson pulling, it wasn't that particular one. Jurgens pulled on the touchdown run Barkley had in the first half. But yeah, I feel like just the run game is so basic. And maybe J-Rod commenting, it's impressive how successful it is. Again, Galaxy braiding it, Shane. Christ, when they start bringing out QB counter bash week 5, it's going to be amazing. But it's just not there. Like, zone read's not there. QB counter bash isn't there. QB drill's not there. There's so many things. As you're watching Dickerson do the best forward row ever. Maybe that's why he's got a bad back.
No kidding.
Stop doing that.
I had a theory based on how Chris Jones dominated him at points in this game. He's definitely not playing 100%, but then I see him doing this running somersault, and I'm like, well, maybe he's fine.
Yeah, and by the way, the only successful runs the Eagles had from 12 personnel in this game was literally running away from tight ends. It was brilliant. They had, I tweeted it, or I put it in my Discord, didn't I? There was 3 plays where they basically just said to the 2 tight ends, you go to the left, we're going to run to the right. And they were 3 successful runs, I think 9, 11 and a touchdown. Was it 13 yards a touchdown? It was just brilliant. They were like, yeah, we're going to still play 12 personnel, but we don't actually want you doing anything. So anyway, I'm going to sharp that run game, and I hope it gets better because run game is my favourite thing to analyse, and it's really boring at the moment. Finish us out with the offense, Shane.
Hurts hasn't had, well, depending on how I view that spread scramble to end the game against the Cowboys as not a designed run. I think that was a pass play, and he took off.
Yeah,
but that they haven't. If you don't count that as a designed run, they've had no non-QB sneak designed runs for Hurts. It's been all QB sneaks and scrambles. So,
just,
and again,
really
I want
quickly,
to manage his health, and so let's keep him healthy, but you need to throw it in every once in a while.
For anyone that hasn't followed me for a while or is new this year, I have spoken for basically as long as I've done podcasting. Mobile quarterbacks are a cheat code in the run game. They are a literal cheat code. You basically gain a blocker on every single play. It's an absolute cheat code having a mobile quarterback, and the Eagles are just like, oh yeah, we're not going to do it anymore. And I'm just assuming they're keeping him healthy. So I won't get too mad now because they won 2 games. If we're doing this by week 8 and we're 6-2 or 5-3, then I'm going to be more annoyed.
Yeah. Okay, my last one is about the screen game design. You guys have heard me yell about the Eagles screen game for years. Now I'm going to whisper into the microphone that the Eagles screen game is my favorite part of their passing attack right now, which isn't just because their drop back passing game stinks. I think they've got some cool designs. And so I'll show a couple here. On the first one, it's actually John Mechie in the backfield, and Saquon Barkley is out wide, and he motions in to make it look like a 2 running back set. And then Mechie motions out behind the 2 receivers. And so if you look at this after the snap, it looks like they're reading this defensive end. And now you've got 2 receivers out in front to throw blocks on 2 guys, and you're going to have Mechie one-on-one with a safety. Now, unfortunately, this one's not executed very well. The pass isn't very good. Mechie has to completely stop and break his momentum. I would argue Devontae Smith targets the wrong guy to block. A.J. Brown doesn't block, and so it doesn't turn into a good play, but I did like the design of that one. And then we get to this next one. The Eagles are going to motion, maybe that's Mechie. I don't actually remember who that is, across the formation here. And then they're going to throw the tunnel screen to Devontae Smith. But I want you to watch the linebackers. Look how the linebackers react to this motion, as if the Eagles are ever going to give the ball to somebody on a jet sweep. But look how far they come over. And now you've got linemen out in front. Look at that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful screen game design. And so I really like that. And then this play is interesting. And I was going to ask you what you thought, but they motion Jahan Dotson like they're going to run him in orbit motion, and then they bring him back out. Yeah. And so I went into this on the film review, but I'm curious what you think. And so A.J. Brown's going to run a slant route at the top of the screen. I think you could read this slant route, potentially. Yep. I don't think he is, though. I think he just glances there, and really they're trying to throw this little swing route behind Saquon. And to me, that's how I would read it. And so you get the deep corner out. I think if I'm reading this, I'm going to throw this little swing route unless the Chiefs just overly commit, and then I'm going to take this corner route behind it. So I don't know for sure what they're doing on this. I'm not sure what they're telling Hurts to do, but I don't think he's actually reading Brown on this. And regardless of whether he,
I think he is.
You think
he is for what it's worth. Yeah.
Okay. So see, I was looking at this more like a screen pass.
Yeah, I don't think it is actually. And this is a really interesting one, which you shouldn't have mentioned, because I'm now going to talk about it, and I want to get to the defense because we spent too long on the offense already. I think this might be the best example of Hurts speeding up his processing. I really do think he might have got through his progressions that quickly. And I know it sounds too quick, but I think basically you're right. It's like a check down, but almost like a plan check down. So it's like, unless the slant or the corner are wide open, and I think he looks at the slant immediately, if he pulls it there, basically sees that there's a safety and just goes, nope. And then when you look at the corner here, I think he sees that defender in the flat, or not in the flat, I guess he's sort of dropping a little bit and just thinks, there's no reason to even read the corner because I'm 2-on-1 already. So I don't think it's like what I'd call a screen. I think he is reading it out, but I think he's almost doing it really quickly. And I'll just say this very quickly so we can get onto the defense. I think the fascinating part of this play is when we're talking about Hurts progressing as a processor, eliminating what's not there. There's like a part of evaluating quarterbacks that I've always noticed that, like, sometimes when you hang on reads, they come open late. That does lead to more sacks. That does lead to more sack fumbles. How do you prevent turnovers? You get to your check down really quickly. And I think sometimes Hurts is maybe too quick, which is mad to say, isn't it? Because he's never processed things well, to get to his check down, rather than, I think he could let that corner route develop a little bit more. I think he might have it available if he lets the play develop. But do you want your QB sitting in the pocket for 3-4 seconds? Is that going to lead to bad things? I think the emphasis is get it out quickly.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, and
let's move over, Shane.
So to me, I was looking at that as almost like a screen pass that we have a corner route we can throw if they overly commit. But either way, I like that design. And so I like some of the design in the screen game. And whether that one's a true screen or not, I enjoyed the design for that one. So there you go. That is our thoughts on the Eagles' offense from the All-22.